As the fintech industry evolves and becomes bigger, it incorporates many other important players, such as Insurtech. Get ready to take a closer look at the rise of Insurtech. What should we look forward to? So ladies and gentlemen, for this session, please welcome our moderator, Angela Hunter, Senior Advisor and Consultant for Simon Kucher Business Consulting. He will also introduce this session. Ladies and gentlemen, please take a seat, grab some headphones, and at the end of our session, please make sure to put the headphones back at the collection points. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please have a big round of applause for Angela and our speakers.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Angela Hunter, and I'm currently a senior advisor to the insurance industry. I'm very excited to be here today with my fellow panelists to introduce the topic of the rise of Insurtech. What should we look forward to? So firstly, let me introduce you to my guests, and I'm going to ask our guests to spend a minute just introducing themselves. So I'll start with Dr. Chatchai, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself to the...
Very good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much, Angela. And very good to be here. So my name is Dr. Chatchai Thanaridi. So basically, currently I'm assuming the board director role at JMart Insurance, and which the JMart Insurance is actually the insurance flagship and also subsidiaries of JMart Group Holding. So JMart actually has a lot of businesses. For example, commerce, retail, and also financial, and also technology. We actually is the company, one of the company that launched the cryptocurrency in Thailand the past 3 years, called JFin, right? Which is similar, quite aligned to the theme of this EXPO, right? And the other role that I'm also serving is the board director of the Center of Insurtech Thailand by Office of Insurance Commission. Very nice to meet you all.
Thank you, Dr. Chatchai. So next we'll introduce John, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself.
Thank you, Angela. So my name is John. I'm the country manager of Igloo Thailand. So Igloo, we provide a insurance to the public. So we do many business, including the B2B2C, the agency, as well as the direct to consumer. So our goal is to provide insurance for all. It means to not only the limited people, but to everyone that, including the daily life, everyone in the society. And we use our core technology to make this possible together with our partners. So this is what Igloo do. Yeah.
Thank you. And John, and next, thank you, John. And next we'll introduce Philip Weiner, please.
Thanks, Angela, and thanks very much for having me here today on the Mid-Autumn Festival for Asia. So I'm Philip Weiner. I'm the CEO of BoltTech for Asia. BoltTech, for those of you who aren't familiar with us, is a Insurtech startup. So in Insurtech is the mix of insurance and technology, which is that subset of fintech. And where we live in the space of Insurtech, because as you get to it, there's all these specialties within it. Where we live is in helping connect the insurance companies with large corporates to allow those large corporates to sell insurance to their end customers, right? So you can imagine, for example, walking into a bank, getting a home loan, and then the bank is able to provide 3 or 4 different insurance quotes and lets you buy some insurance there in the bank. And we're a technology platform that enables that journey to happen. So thanks very much, Angela, and pleasure to be here.
Thanks, Philip. And look, I'm really looking forward to this today because I think we'll get multiple perspectives. We've got an Asia perspective, a Thailand perspective, some thoughts around the regulatory environment, an insurance perspective, and obviously, importantly, Insurtech. So I've spent the last 10 years working for 2 very large insurance companies and being very involved in Insurtech. And so it's been an interesting environment over the last 10 years, but what are we looking forward to in the next 5? So the first one I thought I would start with is just, Philip, I'll start with you giving us the sort of Asia perspective is, because you operate in multiple markets, tell us what do you think has been the key successes so far and what do you think the opportunities are moving forward?
Cool. Thanks very much. I think as I think of what are some of those opportunities that we have in the future. The first thing is when we think about Asia is around the protection gap. The protection gap is a terminology used to reference the difference between the protection that people need, or the insurance that they need, and the insurance that they have. And it's something that's measured around the world. And one of the things you find is that in Asia, it is quite a large gap. There's a big gap between these two things. And that represents a large opportunity to help consumers and help individuals and help businesses close that gap and bring together more technology or more care for them. So there's looking at the opportunity from one side. The other side is a technology opportunity. Technology is evolving and changing and allowing us to bring down the friction that used to exist a lot in the market of purchasing insurance. And as you can bring down that friction, you can make it much easier for customers to access the protection, much cheaper to access it, and therefore you just sort of see this opportunity really coming out with the Insurtech in Asia.
Fantastic. Thanks very much. And actually that's a really nice segue to talk to John, because John and his company have been on a mission to make insurance more affordable and inclusive, which is key, obviously, to closing the protection gap. So, talk us through some of the challenges and opportunity in making insurance more affordable and accessible.
Sure. So I will speak on more in terms of Thailand, mostly because I look at the Thai market, and for me there are opportunities and of course some obstacles in the market here. The most opportunity we see is what Philip says, right? There's a gap there. And also from what we have seen in the market is that the insurance is still in a very early stage, right, in terms of spreading cross digitally. So we see that the market, especially a lot of new players like e-commerce or many digital players like e-wallets, are coming into the insurance field where they were not traditionally, selling this product. But because of the use of the technology, now they can easily enter this insurance market and offer insurance to their customer. And by doing so, together with the insurance company, we have worked together to come up with some very attractive plans or schemes. Some of them which are the micro-insurance that actually make people much more affordable to the insurance that they would otherwise would not be able to afford. So we have seen this a lot, which has been quite successful when you cut down let's say the coverage period from annual to become monthly, daily, or even per time. So when you break this down, you truly democratize the insurance to the daily life of people. So that's where we see the huge potentials are, because when you reach out to the population where they were not used to access to this insurance, and the market all of a sudden become widely available, and the market is huge. So we see that's where the potentials are. And of course, some of the bottleneck where I mentioned it, especially in Thailand, I would say is the regulation, which I think most of the panel speakers here would agree to. Thailand, of course, is very well regulated. So the industry itself are very well structured. So because of the traditional insurance, hence when the digital disruption comes, right? How does the regulation comes to cope with the disruption is one of the thing that as an Insurtech we have to face on a daily basis. So I would say that this is my take for the growth of the insurance in Thailand.
Thank you. And Dr. Chakchai, you have an interesting perspective because you have an insurance company perspective and also a regulatory perspective. So what do you see some of the challenges for Insurtech, and how do you see we're going to be overcoming these in the future? What's your perspective on
Thank
that?
you so much, Angela. It's a great question. I think, let me start sort of my 2 cents to say that from the consumer perspective, insurance is not sexy, right? I mean, I don't think anyone here think about insurance every single day, right? I mean, it's not like you go buy something at the grocery shop, right? You of course transfer your money from your bank account to your to your friends or merchant. So insurance itself is not sexy by nature, right? So then that's one thing. And that's why I think when Philip and so John mentioned about protection gaps, right? That's why we talk about affordability and how can we make it happen, right? So then that's coming to two main things, right? I mean, there's so many things, but I think I can summarize two main things. The first one is technology. If you have the right technology that can help deploy at the same time can help make our consumer understand that insurance is actually sexy. Insurance is actually required. It actually is needed for their daily life, right? And regardless what they are trying to do, right? Whether you buy something online, you buy phone, right? You buy anything else from social medias. So that's kind of thing that technology itself can help drive that to happen. Second one is around the product development. So we have to be able to identify and develop the insurance product that can play well with that technology, right? I mean, if you talk about like many other companies in Asia also have some kind like a top-up insurance, right? Stackable insurance, for example. So that's kind of thing that can help people understand that insurance is affordable. At the same time, they can have it not like one times per year, but they can think about how they buy the insurance premium every day, right? So that kind of things that back to my point, the consumer has to be driven by technology and the product development from the insurance company that can make them affordable to buy it, right? And then I mean the challenge from the insurance company itself is that back to these 2 points. In order for the insurance company to understand this kind of consumer behavior, understand the consumer target, what kind of product that they need, what kind of technology that can help them understand about the need of the insurance when they buy other things, right? I think that's kind of thing that's become the challenge for the insurance company, and it's go beyond the traditional insurance product that we are be aware of, right? Like
Yes.
motor, the carrier products, miscellaneous product. That's kind of things. I think it's go beyond that, and that's why I think the challenge is that how can insurance company understand that consumer behavior, and how can we adopt the right technology to the consumer, right? And the other things around, as my of the Center of Insurtech Thailand, right? I might not be able to share the sort of confidential data from the regulatory perspective, but from the Center of Insurtech itself, the role of the OIC or Office of Insurance Commission certainly has, I mean, so many dimensions. The first dimension is to protect our consumer, right? I mean, to ensure that consumer or customer or policy holder got the right policies and got service based on what they buy,
Yes.
right? So that's the first sort of priority. Second priority is that OIC also he needs to enable the industry itself in the industry that so they can grow and they can support the consumer or policy holder in the right way, right? And then with that, how can OIC encourage the industry to equip with technology, like insurance company to equip with technology to protect and provide the right service to the consumer or policy holder. So that's kind of thing that, so like I said, there are so many dimensions that the regulation in Thailand has to play, right? So then, back to your question about the challenge. So then, I think the challenge is that how can we set up the standard sort of policy that can embrace this challenge.
Yeah.
So then each insurance company, regardless their size, right? If you know better than do that, the bigger company, the international insurance company has maybe more opportunities in terms of the size itself, right? To play around with economic scale, to play around with support to the consumer, comparing to the company that has the local company which really small size, something like that.
Yes.
So that's why back to regulatory perspective, how can we come up with the policy that can help enable the industry regardless the sizes?
Yes.
I think that's the challenge.
Great.
The other one is around technology. how can the regulator also can, I don't want to use the word regulated, but it should be like a govern or enable the insurance company and also the policy holder or consumer to understand better around technology use that can be used within the industry itself.
Yes.
I think that's the challenge that need to address in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very interesting, and the whole perspective around addressing financial literacy in all of this, as you said at the start, is an interesting topic, I think, of how we solve that and how fintech can assist that and how technology can assist that. So moving on to our next question, and John, I'm going to target this one at you. I've been in Thailand for the last 6 years, and my perception, I'm not saying it's reality, is that maybe we've been a little bit slower than some other countries. In terms of regulation, if we looked at Singapore, let's say, or some of the more mature markets, how do you see this evolving, and what are you seeing changing that would support the evolution of technology?
I think the good thing from what we see as Insurtech is that the OIC do set up a special unit called CIT, right, which Doctor is part of the board, to actually support the Insurtech when entering the country. So I think that's a good initiative. So they are organizations especially dedicated to support the Insurtech growth. And also I know there's a sandbox available by the OIC if there's anything from the Insurtech that's innovative and wants to try out. And I know there are some companies over there doing some sandbox, right? So those are initiatives I think is good. But I do think that there are also there are also ways that we can look at improving to balance out between the regulations, a certain control to the innovation itself, of speed of the innovation. Because a lot of times that we have seen the same thing happen in the other country, where it takes only a few weeks to complete, but coming to Thailand it takes several months. So I think there are ways I believe the government can look into to speed up this kind of process flow. I know that there's a lot of approval process within the government they have to go through. So all this red tape is about how you can be a balance of making sure it's regulated and at the same time do not block the innovation itself. So I think that's from what I see. So I know the government is doing things that trying to improve. At the same time, I think there's still quite a bit of way to go before you reach to the optimal stage. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Do you think, I guess, taking an Asia perspective versus a Thailand perspective, what are you seeing happening broadly in Asia which is enabling expansion and speed to market of new technologies?
Yeah. So I think that if I think Asian-wide or even worldwide, it's hard to talk about new technologies right now without talking about the big two letters in the room, AI, right? I mean, that is the kind of lead technology. And so how does this technology live in the world of Insurtech, and how do I see it, the appropriate regulatory framework? So if I think about how does AI live in Insurtech, there's really two key elements we have to keep in mind. In AI, we've got the generative and the predictive. And the first thing to know is both are super critical for Insurtech. If anything, predictive remains the more crucial AI feature for managing an Insurtech operation, right? And this is because the predictive AIs are very, very useful in a wide range of insurance applications. There are some Insurtech companies that are completely dedicated to just building an AI which assesses a claim and whether or not to pay it, and that's like the entire company and what it does, right? Broader within BoltTech's scenario, we look at predictive AI across really helping improve the outcomes of what our main goal is, which is to make it easier for customers to buy insurance. So in the space of product recommendations is a big area for us. The next best products, ranking products, enabling customers to compare products, recommending the right product at the right time to the right customer. This space is really crucial for us, and that's all predictive AI.
Yes.
In the generative AI space, what's been very helpful is really about, again, enabling that frontline salesman. Because we often work, because we often work with corporates who aren't necessarily spending their day waking up and thinking about insurance every single day. You know, it's not like the iPhone launch, which everybody, you know, lots of people watched and whatever.
Yes.
Right? How does somebody like that, how can we help them be more aware of what's in a policy document that maybe they haven't read everything? So simple generative AIs that can read a policy document and summarize key points, helping our frontline distribution be more accurate in what they're talking to their customers about. So these are some of the spaces in which we are using AI, and AI is enabling and making the world much faster. At the same time, AI is coming with its own set of risks, right? They've been talked about in lots of forums. Probably the ones I will call out that are top of mind in mine. One we were just talking about earlier is error rate, especially with generative AI. In a regulated industry like insurance, like FX trading, errors are an issue, right? And so you need to make sure that your AI is not just inventing things and then explaining to the customer, you know, this is how it is, when that's not accurate, right? So that's really crucial. Bias is another one that's really close to my heart in terms of how can we make sure that our AIs are being fair and they're not trained in an incorrect way. And there are many, many more examples, won't go into them. And I think regulation plays a really crucial part. What we need as an industry, as a world, is our regulators to help us put the guardrails on and make sure everybody's playing on the same guardrails and the same playing field. And ideally, coordination between regulators. When I think about it from an Asia perspective, you know, hodgepodge of regulations around the world make it more difficult for us to scale and to bring the innovation to market faster. And that's another, I mean, if you look at probably the most apparent example of that is Apple Intelligence and Europe, right? And so you can see that example very, very public, but there's lots of them around the world. And that's an area where I think we want the guardrails, but ideally, can they be consistent or as consistent as possible across Asia?
No, thank you. And I'm very conscious of time, so I'm going to move on to the last question, which is really looking at the collaboration and how we're seeing collaboration change between traditional insurance firms and Insurtech. And I'm actually going to start with you this time, Philip.
Sure, I'll keep my answer pretty brief then in terms of the collaboration side. I think the way I would think about this is when fintech as a general category started, the going in hypothesis was banks are old, insurance companies are old, they're all stodgy, we're going to build new companies that are going to just completely knock them out and they're going to be worth nothing soon and the whole industry is going to change. And the reality is that's not what played out. That's not the reality, and insurance is no different. Bolttech founded in 2020, past that hype age, really as an age of enabling insurance companies to go faster. How can they reach more customers quicker? That's what we spend all of our day thinking about. And this is where the collaboration and enablement is going to come from.
Yes, very good. Thank you. Dr. Chacha, from your insurance company perspective, how are you collaborating with Insurtech, and do you see anything changing in the next 3 to 5 years?
Sure. Actually, I like what Philip mentioned earlier. I think if you think about, if from the Insurtech perspective, right? Think about if Insurtech want to disrupt in the insurance industry, and I mean it's not only insurance. We see many industry that sort of tech firms, startup want to do so, right? But we see that the result is not the way that they plan out, right? So basically, I like the way you said that when we talk about the collaboration, and currently we are talking about ecosystem, right? Which means no one can win alone anymore. We have to create that kind of partnership, create kind of ecosystem, especially for the fintech, also insurance, right? Because it becomes that. Use this word. The embedded service has been embedded within the daily life of our consumer, right? Say for things like embedded insurance, for example, or embedded finance, for example. So which means is that, what this means is that the financial institution alone or insurance alone cannot survive. We need to partner with both Insurtech and ecosystem to make this thing more profitable and also more innovative, right? So then I think the next challenge for insurance company like JMart Insurance is that because JMart, back to JMart Group, we have very strong ecosystem. I mean, at this point, I can say that we have at least about 7 to 9 million of customers within JMart ecosystem, and we have retail shop like more than a couple thousand points that customer can interact with. The question is how can we leverage and embrace that ecosystem with and work together with Insurtech in order for us to be able to unlock our potential. So this is actually, let me emphasize on my last point is that the challenge is that how can we get the right partnership, from the business model perspective, and also get the right strategic partner with Insurtech to make it happen. Because there are so many Insurtech, just like Philip said, right? Someone focused on really vertical domain. Yeah. Someone focused more broader. So how can we select the one that can work with us in the long run? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Chachai. And with a couple of minutes left to go, if I could just get some one key takeaway from each of the panelists or any final thoughts you have on this topic.
Let me just one thing is that so I believe insurance company in Thailand always looking for the right partners, both Insurtech and also tech startup. So then if you happen to want to work on this domain in Thailand, certainly insurance company in Thailand welcome. And at the same time, just like John mentioned earlier, in the setup Insurtech, we also have this, OIC create this dedicated business unit within the OIC, focusing on how to leverage and how to strengthen technology within the insurance industry. So then there is a CIT. So then if you have any interest, please always welcome and they will contact to the CIT. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Chachai. And John?
Okay, I think for me, right, or as Insurtech is always as a technology, right? We always looking at democratizing the technology so that it's accessible to everyone. So I would say that we're not looking at replacing the insurance itself. We are here to make the industry more efficient, right? To be truly accessible to the mass, rather than a selective audience people like used to be. And I think that's the value of Insurtech, just like a Fintech. It's to create the accessibility, affordability to the majority of the people out there. So that's all.
Thank you, John. And Philip, any last thoughts from you?
So I guess what I would close with is Insurtech might not be sexy. It probably insurance isn't sexy for everybody, but there's a small group of us that we find it really sexy, that we live it every day. We love it.
Yes.
It is really important.
Yes.
It is really, if you look into, for example, the UN Sustainable Development Goals and how to combat poverty, it's right there. Access to insurance. And so it is really important. And if you're interested in it, there's the team of us that are living it, breathing it every day, and we love it. And please talk to us.
No, thank you very much. And look, just a few final thoughts on the panel today. I think we've had some, good insights as to some of the things that have been happening in the world of Insurtech, how it really can help with the closing the protection gap, accessing underserved parts of the community, the importance of the whole ecosystem, Insurtechs, insurers, regulators, and all parts of the ecosystem. I think with AI, as you pointed out, exciting in terms of where that's going to take us, but there is that need to make sure there's accuracy there and how the regulators across Asia can help us make sure we do that in the right way. So I think an exciting, 3 to 5 years ahead. So thank you to my panelists.
Thank you,
Thank
Angela.
John,
Thank you,
Philip,
Angela.
and Dr. Chachai. Thank you very much. And thanks to the audience.
Thank you
very much.